My friends, have you ever had that moment when you looked in the mirror and said, I can't live like this anymore? That's not a breakdown. That's the beginning of your breakthrough. Because your new life doesn't start when everything is perfect. It starts when you decide you deserve better. It starts when you stop blaming the past. It starts when you stop waiting for motivation. It starts when you whisper to yourself, enough is enough, I'm ready to begin again. So today, I want you to remember, your new life doesn't start tomorrow. It starts SER. It starts no-do. It starts WITH-YO-U. Let's begin this journey together. Acceptance is the first step, and yet, it's often the hardest one. Because we humans, we love to hold on. We hold on to memories, to mistakes, to moments that broke us, as if replaying them will somehow rewrite the past. But my friends, holding on doesn't heal you. It only exhausts you. There comes a time when you must simply stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start saying, what can I learn from this? Acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with what happened. It doesn't mean you approve of the pain or that you're weak. Acceptance means you've decided to stop letting the past control your peace. It means you've looked at your scars and said, I will not hide you anymore. You are proof that I survived. When you accept, you open the door to peace. Because the truth is, life will not always give you closure, but you can give closure to yourself. You can stop chasing explanations and start creating transformation. Every time you revisit an old wound, you're reopening it. But when you accept, when you breathe and say, it happened, but it doesn't define me, that's when true healing begins. Think about it. The storm may have passed, but if you keep standing in the rain of your memories, how can you ever feel the sunlight of a new day? Acceptance is that moment when you finally walk out of the storm. You're still wet, still tired, but you know you survived it. And with that awareness, you become unshakable. You see, acceptance doesn't erase your past, it transforms it into wisdom. Every pain you went through becomes a teacher. Every fall becomes a lesson. Every ending becomes a beginning. The moment you stop fighting reality, reality starts working for you. So, if you truly want your new life to start here, accept what has already been written. Because until you do, you'll keep trying to rewrite the same story instead of starting a new one. Look at your life right now and whisper to yourself, it is what it is. But it doesn't have to stay this way. That sentence is where your healing begins. That sentence is where your new life starts. Forgive yourself, truly, deeply, completely. Because no matter how strong you try to appear, there's a part of you still carrying the weight of your own mistakes. You remember the words you said that you shouldn't have, the chances you didn't take, the times you disappointed someone or yourself. And those memories, they don't just sit quietly. They whisper to you at night, reminding you of who you were instead of who you're becoming. But here's the truth. Guilt doesn't heal you, it chains you. You can't drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. And you can't start a new life while punishing yourself for an old one. The moment you forgive yourself, you set yourself free from a prison that only you have the key to. Understand this. You did your best with the awareness, the strength, the understanding you had at that time. Could you have done better? Maybe. But if you knew better, you would have done better. That's how growth works. You fall, you learn, and you rise, not to erase the fall, but to become wiser because of it. Sometimes we think forgiveness means saying, it's okay. But it's not about saying it was okay. It's about saying it happened and I will no longer let it control me. Because carrying guilt is like walking through life with a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every regret, every what if, every I should have, it adds another stone. You think you're just being responsible, but what you're really doing is making your journey harder. When you forgive yourself, you drop that backpack, you finally stand tall again, and suddenly you can breathe. You start to feel light, free, human again. You stop seeing yourself as a mistake and start seeing yourself as a masterpiece in progress. Remember, life doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for evolution. The most beautiful souls are not the ones who never fell. They're the ones who fell 1,000 times but kept rising with a softer heart each time. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It doesn't erase responsibility. It restores your peace. So, if you've been replaying that same painful memory, waiting for a time machine that'll never come, stop. Close your eyes and whisper to your heart, I forgive you. You'll feel something shift within you. That's not weakness, that's release. And in that moment of forgiveness, something magical happens. The old version of you, the one you keep blaming, finally rests. And the new version of you, the one that's been waiting to be born, finally breathes. That's how your new life begins, not by changing the past, but by making peace with it. Detach from the old identity. Because sometimes the biggest obstacle standing between who you are and who you want to be is the story you keep telling yourself about who you've been. We become so used to introducing ourselves through our pain, our failures, and our labels that we forget we're allowed to rewrite that story at any moment. You see, the mind loves familiarity. It loves to hold on to patterns, even the painful ones, because they feel safe. You say things like, that's just how I am, or I've always been like this, or oh, people like me never change. But those are just words, habits of thought, not laws of life. The moment you start identifying with your past, you limit your future. You become a prisoner of your own narrative. The truth is, you are not your mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are not the version of yourself who couldn't handle it last time. You are the one who survived it, the one who's still standing, the one who's growing. Every day you wake up, life gives you a blank page, and yet, most people spend it rewriting the same chapter. Not because they have to, but because they've forgotten they can start a new one. When you detach from your old identity, you stop asking, who have I been? And start asking, who can I become? And that question changes everything. It moves your energy from guilt to growth, from self-doubt to self-belief. You begin to act differently, speak differently, and eventually think differently. That's how transformation begins, quietly, inside your perception of yourself. There's a line I love. The caterpillar calls it the end, the master calls it transformation. You are not dying, you are becoming. But to become, you must let go. You must allow the old parts of you, the anger, the fears, the insecurities, to dissolve even if it feels uncomfortable. Because detachment isn't rejection, it's redirection. You're not abandoning who you were, you're releasing what no longer serves who you're becoming. The reason most people never start their new life is because they keep trying to carry their old one with them. They cling to their reputation, their pain, their failures, and wonder why they can't move forward. But you can't fly if you refuse to drop what's holding you down. You can't step into a new version of yourself while wearing the clothes of your past. So start small, change the way you speak about yourself. Instead of saying, I've always been anxious, say, I'm learning peace. Instead of saying, I'm bad at relationships, say, I'm learning how to love consciously. You don't have to fake perfection, you just have to shift direction. Remember, every identity you've worn, the strong one, the broken one, the quiet one, the lost one, they all served their purpose. They protected you when you needed protection. But now it's time to thank them and let them go. Because your new life cannot begin while you're still defending the person you no longer are. Detach with love, not hatred. Let the old version of you rest. Smile at the memories, forgive the failures, bless the lessons, and then walk away. Because every time you release a piece of your past identity, you make room for your true self to step forward. You are not meant to be a repeat of yesterday. You are meant to be a new creation, fresh, aware, alive. The question is not, can I change? The question is, am I willing to let go of who I was to become who I'm meant to be? When you answer yes, even quietly, your transformation begins in that very moment. Your new life doesn't wait for the calendar to change. It waits for you to let go of control. Because sometimes, the more you try to force life to go your way, the more it slips through your fingers. We've all been there, planning every detail, calculating every step, trying to make sure nothing ever goes wrong. But life doesn't work that way. It's not a straight line. It's a dance between what you can control and what you must surrender. We live in a world that praises control. We're taught to plan, to predict, to prepare for everything. And yes, planning has its place. But there comes a moment when you realize, no matter how hard you try, not everything is meant to go according to your plan. Some paths are designed to break, some people are meant to leave, and some doors are meant to close. Not because you're unlucky, but because something greater is being built behind the scenes. When you hold on too tightly, you stop the flow of life. You block the very blessings that are trying to reach you. Control is rooted in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of loss, fear of failure. But here's the paradox: the tighter you hold, the more you lose. The more you try to manage life, the more it manages you. True peace begins the day you whisper to yourself, if I don't need to control everything to trust that everything will be okay. Sis, think about nature. The river doesn't fight to stay straight. It bends, it flows, it adapts. The tree doesn't demand the storm to stop. It stands, it sways, and it survives. And yet we humans, we want every day to be perfect, every person to understand us, every situation to work exactly how we imagine it. But what if life's beauty isn't in its predictability, but in its mystery? What if the chaos you're resisting is actually creating something beautiful for you? Sometimes, your life will fall apart, not because it's broken, but because it's rearranging itself into a better pattern. The delay you're frustrated about, the detour that confused you, the heartbreak that shattered you, they're all part of a divine choreography. You just can't see the full dance yet. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in, not to defeat, but to trust. It's looking at life and saying, I'll do my best, and I'll let life do the rest. It's understanding that your effort matters, but so does timing. It's realizing that sometimes the doors that don't open are saving you from rooms you were never meant to enter. When you stop forcing, you start flowing. You begin to notice small miracles. A conversation that inspires you, a new opportunity that appears when you least expect it, A moment of peace that finds you when you finally exhale. That's life whispering, see, I've got you. Say, control is heavy, surrender is light. Control is about fear. Surrender is about faith. Faith that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. The greatest relief you'll ever feel is when you stop trying to make everything make sense. You don't need to understand every ending. You don't need to fix every situation. You don't need to know every step of the journey before you take the first one. All you need is trust. Trust that you're being guided even when the path feels uncertain. There's a strange peace that comes when you stop trying to manipulate outcomes. Suddenly, life doesn't feel like a fight anymore. It feels like a flow. You start to breathe again, to feel again, to be again. And in that space, new possibilities begin to appear, not because you forced them, but because you made room for them. So, let go. Let go of the constant need to control people, situations, timing. Let go of the thought that everything depends on you. You're not the manager of the universe. You're a participant in its unfolding. Trust that there's a plan bigger than your plans, and it's unfolding perfectly, even if it feels messy. Sometimes you lose control just to realize you never needed it. Sometimes what you think is falling apart is actually falling into alignment. And when you finally stop trying to control everything, you'll discover something profound. Life doesn't need your control to bless you. It just needs your openness. Let go, not because you're tired, but because you're wise enough to know that peace lives on the other side of surrender. Surround yourself with growth. Because no matter how strong, disciplined, or motivated you are, the environment you live in will always shape the person you become. You can have the greatest vision for your life, but if you spend your time around people who only see limitations, your wings will always feel too heavy to fly. Growth is not just an individual journey, it's an environment you build, moment by moment, choice by choice. Look around you. Who do you spend the most time with? What do you feed your mind daily? What kind of energy surrounds you when you wake up, when you talk, when you dream? Because whether you realize it or not, your surroundings are programming your future. You are constantly absorbing thoughts, emotions, and attitudes from the world around you. The people you spend time with are like mirrors. They reflect your current state and project your potential back to you. If you walk with people who constantly complain, criticize, or gossip, sooner or later you'll find yourself speaking their language. Negativity is contagious, but so is growth, so is hope, so is discipline. If you walk with people who talk about ideas, purpose, and gratitude, your mind starts expanding automatically. Without even realizing it, your thoughts start to evolve, your habits begin to shift, your goals start to feel possible again. We often underestimate how much our environment affects our destiny. A seed can only grow when planted in the right soil. Even the strongest tree cannot survive in toxic ground. The same goes for you. You can have the most beautiful potential within you, but if you are surrounded by people who constantly doubt, drain, or diminish you, that potential never gets the sunlight it needs. Growth requires space, space to think, space to breathe, space to become. Sometimes that means stepping away from people you love, not because you're better than them, but because you're becoming different. It's not rejection, it's evolution. You're not walking away from them, you're walking toward the person you're meant to be. And remember, growth isn't only about people, it's also about what you consume. The books you read, the videos you watch, The music you listen to, the conversations you entertain, they are all shaping your inner landscape. If your outer world is full of chaos, your inner world will soon mirror it. But if you intentionally fill your surroundings with inspiration, silence, learning, and purpose, you begin to attract peace and clarity. There will come a point in life when you must decide what kind of energy you want to live in. Do you want to be around people who challenge you to rise, or those who comfort you into staying the same? Growth doesn't always feel comfortable. In fact, it often feels lonely. Because when you start to evolve, you'll notice fewer people can understand your silence, your standards, your focus. But that loneliness is not emptiness. It's space being created for something new, something aligned. When you surround yourself with growth, your perspective changes. You start to see failure not as an end, but as feedback. You stop competing with others and start collaborating. You stop seeking validation and start seeking purpose. Growth-oriented people don't just inspire you when they speak. They inspire you by the way they live, their discipline, their kindness, their curiosity. They all awaken something inside you that says, and I can do this too. And let's not forget, sometimes surrounding yourself with growth means becoming that source of growth for others. Be the friend who listens without judgment, who encourages without envy, who celebrates without comparison. Because the more you give growth, the more you receive it. The energy you share is the energy that returns. Life is too precious to spend in rooms where your light has to dim just to fit in. Go where your soul feels stretched, not where it feels small. Surround yourself with people and environments that make you curious, not complacent. And if you can't find those people right now, become one. Start reading, start learning, start healing. Because once you grow, your energy will naturally attract others who are growing too. Remember this, you don't become who you want to be, you become who you're surrounded by. So choose wisely. Protect your energy like a sacred flame. Feed your mind with wisdom, your heart with kindness, and your life with purpose. Because the more you surround yourself with growth, the more life will mirror that growth back to you. Through opportunities, through peace, through people who remind you why you started. And one day, you look around and realize something powerful. The people, the habits, the thoughts that once held you back are no longer there. You're standing in a new garden, full of light, full of growth, full of life. And that's when you'll understand your environment didn't just change, you did. Discipline is the door to freedom. It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? How can discipline, the act of restraint, routine, and repetition, possibly lead to freedom? Yet it's one of the greatest truths of life. The people who seem the most free, who live with purpose, peace, and confidence, they are not driven by mood or motivation. They are guided by discipline. Because motivation is fleeting, but discipline is the foundation that keeps you moving when motivation disappears. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for inspiration, for the perfect moment, for a sign from the universe. But life doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who act. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't always feel exciting. It's waking up when your body says no, studying when your mind wants to rest, choosing calm when your emotions want to react. It's saying, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. That's where power begins. When you build discipline, you stop being a slave to your emotions. You start leading them instead of following them. And that, my friend, is true freedom, to do what's right even when it's not easy, to choose progress over comfort, to build habits that shape the life you dream of rather than waiting for luck or circumstances to shape it for you. Look around. Everything meaningful in this world was built through discipline. The musician who moves you didn't just play when he felt inspired. He practiced every day until his music became a language of emotion. The athlete who stands on the podium didn't just train when he felt strong. He trained when no one was watching, when his body hurt, when quitting seemed easier. The person you admire for their calm, their wisdom, their success, they didn't get there by chance. They built it one disciplined choice at a time. Discipline is love in action, love for your future self. Every time you choose discipline, you're saying, I care enough about who I'm becoming to make sacrifices now. You're investing moments of discomfort for a lifetime of peace. You're trading temporary pleasure for permanent growth. But don't misunderstand, discipline isn't punishment. It's not about being harsh or rigid with yourself. True discipline is gentle, patient, and consistent. It's about showing up, not perfectly, but faithfully. It's about understanding that every small, consistent step adds up. One page a day becomes a book. One workout a day becomes strength. One mindful moment a day becomes peace. There's a freedom that only discipline can give. The freedom from regret. Because regret is the heaviest chain a person can wear. When you look back and realize you could have done more, given more, become more, that's when you truly understand the price of laziness. Discipline removes that pain. It gives you the confidence to look in the mirror and say, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm on my way. I'm showing up. Discipline doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. It rewires your mind to value progress over perfection, growth over gratification. It strengthens your willpower and your focus, two things that can't be borrowed, only built. And when you have those, you become unstoppable. The problem is many people quit before they see results. They confuse boredom with failure, but growth is quiet. Transformation happens in the routine, in the repetition, in the unseen hours when no one's clapping. You won't always notice your progress daily, but one day, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. And you'll thank the discipline that carried you through. There will be days when you fall off track, when you miss a step, when you feel tired of it all. That's okay. Discipline doesn't demand perfection, it demands return. Every time you come back to your path, you strengthen your character. Every time you start again, you remind yourself that quitting is not an option. Think of your life as a garden. Discipline is the watering, the pruning, the daily care. You don't see the flowers immediately, but you trust that they're coming. The same is true for your goals, your peace, your growth. Keep watering. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Because one day, the effort will turn into ease. The habits will turn into second nature. The sacrifices will turn into blessings. And you'll realize something profound. The discipline that once felt like chains was actually the key. The key that unlocked your strength, your peace, your potential. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's having the power to do what's right. It's living a life that you consciously shape, not one that drifts on impulse and distraction. Discipline gives you that power. It gives you direction. It gives you dignity. So, if you want your new life to start here, begin with discipline. Build it brick by brick, action by action, choice by choice. Because the moment you start depending on motivation and start depending on discipline, that's the moment your life truly changes. That's the moment you stop being a prisoner of your moods and start becoming the master of your destiny. Focus on what you can give, because life at its deepest level isn't about what you accumulate, it's about what you contribute. The world constantly tells us to chase success, status, possessions, and praise, but very few ever tell us the secret truth. Joy doesn't come from getting, it comes from giving. The moment you shift your focus from what can I get out of this to what can I offer to this, your entire life changes. Most people live trapped in a cycle of self-centered pursuit. They measure their happiness by what they receive: attention, validation, money, recognition. But that kind of happiness is fragile. It depends on others. It rises and falls with circumstances. Yet, when you start focusing on giving kindness, understanding, your time, your effort, your presence, something extraordinary happens. You begin to experience a peace that no external achievement can ever replace. Giving doesn't always mean grand gestures. It can be as simple as listening, truly listening when someone speaks. It can be offering encouragement to someone who's about to give up. It can be sharing your knowledge, lending a helping hand, or just smiling at a stranger who looks tired of life. Every act of giving is an act of love, and love always multiplies. You see, when your life is only about yourself, it becomes small. The more you think, what about me, the smaller your world becomes. But when you think, how can I serve, your world expands. Your problems shrink, your heart grows, and you begin to feel connected to something larger than yourself. The emptiness inside you starts to fade, because that emptiness was never meant to be filled by things, but by purpose. Many people believe they have nothing to give. They say, I'm not rich, I don't have much. What difference can I make? But the truth is, you don't need wealth to give. You need willingness. The greatest gifts often cost nothing. A kind word, a gentle gesture, an act of forgiveness. You can make someone's day brighter with a single sentence. You can heal someone's pain just by showing up and caring. The smallest act of genuine giving can ripple farther than you can imagine. Life has a beautiful way of rewarding givers, not always immediately, not always materially, but deeply. The more you give, the more you grow, because giving expands your capacity to love, to empathize, to understand. It refines your soul. And ironically, when you focus on giving, life gives back to you in unexpected ways. Through opportunities, through peace, through people who remind you of your own kindness. When you focus only on what you can get, you live in scarcity. You're always comparing, competing, craving. But when you focus on what you can give, you live in abundance. You realize that no matter how little you have, you always have something valuable to offer. Your attention, your time, your presence, your love. Giving transforms not just the receiver, but the giver. When you help someone rise, you rise too. When you bring light to others, your own path becomes brighter. When you lift someone out of their pain, you heal parts of your own heart. Because we are all connected, giving to others is, in truth, giving to yourself. But remember, giving doesn't mean letting people take advantage of you. True giving comes from strength, not weakness. It's about giving from overflow, not emptiness. It's about contributing because you choose to, not because you feel forced to. When you give from a place of joy rather than guilt, your energy remains pure and your heart stays full. There's something sacred about living a life of contribution. It gives your existence meaning beyond personal gain. It turns your daily routine into service, your challenges into lessons, and your victories into blessings for others. Every skill you've learned, every struggle you've endured can become a tool to help someone else. Your pain becomes your empathy. Your experience becomes your wisdom. Your life becomes your message. And perhaps the most powerful truth of all is this: giving doesn't just change the world, it changes you. It makes you softer, wiser, humbler. It helps you see beauty where others see nothing, gratitude where others see lack. It awakens something divine within you, that timeless part of your soul that remembers, I am here to make a difference. So, as you walk through life, stop asking, what's in it for me? And start asking, Ev, what can I give? Give your best energy, your best attitude, your best version of yourself to every person, every moment, every opportunity. And watch how life begins to mirror that energy back to you. Through unexpected kindness, through new doors opening, through peace that no one can take away. Because the secret to a full life is not in taking more, it's in giving more. The more love you pour out, the more love flows in. The more light you share, the brighter your world becomes. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize the happiest moments of your life weren't the ones when you received the most, but the ones when you gave the most of yourself. That's when you'll understand your new life doesn't begin when you get everything you want. It begins when you start giving everything you have. Silence the inner critic, that voice inside your head, the one that tells you you're not enough, not smart enough, not good enough. It's not your truth. It's your fear wearing your own voice. It's the echo of old wounds, of judgments you've internalized from a world that forgot to show compassion. And if you don't learn to quiet that voice, it will steal your joy before life ever has the chance to bless you. We all have that inner critic. It's the whisper that questions every step you take, the shadow that follows you in your brightest moments, the constant reminder of your flaws, your failures, your insecurities. It tells you that you're too late to start, too flawed to succeed, too broken to be loved. And the tragedy is, most people don't even realize they're living under that voice's control. They think it's truth. They think it's who they are. But you are not that voice. You are the awareness listening to it. You are the consciousness behind it. Vast, powerful, compassionate. And the moment you start recognizing that difference, the healing begins. Because the goal isn't to completely erase the inner critic. It's to stop letting it be the loudest voice in the room. Think about it. Would you ever speak to your closest friend the way you speak to yourself in your lowest moments? Would you ever say to them, you're worthless, you're a failure, you'll never make it? Never. Because you know it would break them. And yet, you say those things to yourself daily, without even realizing the damage you cause. The way you speak to yourself shapes how you live. If your internal language is full of shame, doubt, and fear, your actions will always shrink to fit that small space. It's time to start speaking to yourself with kindness, not because you're perfect, but because you're human. You've been through things. You've survived moments others know nothing about. You've carried invisible battles with strength that no one saw. You deserve your own compassion. You deserve to be spoken to with gentleness, not judgment. Silencing the inner critic doesn't mean pretending your flaws don't exist. It means acknowledging them without letting them define you. It means saying, yes, I made a mistake, but I'm learning. It means saying, yes, I failed, but I'm still worthy. It means saying, I am work in progress, not a problem to be solved, Thus, your inner critic was born to protect you once. It was your mind's way of keeping you safe from rejection or pain. But now it's overprotecting you by holding you back. Every time it whispers, "Don't try, you'll fail," it's really saying, I'm scared." You don't silence the inner critic by fighting it. You silence it by understanding it, by replacing its voice with one of calm reassurance. I hear you, but I'm going to try anyway. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped believing every negative thought that passed through your mind. Imagine how many dreams you'd chase, how many connections you'd make, how much peace you'd feel if you stopped treating yourself as your own enemy. The truth is, you cannot heal in a voice that constantly hurts you. You cannot grow in soil that constantly tells you're not enough. Start rewriting that voice. When your mind says, I can't, gently reply, "I can learn." When it says, "I'm not ready," whisper back, "No one ever is, and that's okay." When it says, "I'm a failure," remind it, I'm evolving. Because every time you challenge that voice, you weaken its grip. You remind yourself that you're not here to be perfect. You're here to progress. There's something profoundly powerful about becoming your own friend. When you stop waiting for the world to approve of you and start approving of yourself, your confidence stops depending on applause. You stop performing for validation and start living from authenticity. You stop chasing peace and start becoming it. Silencing the inner critic takes time. It's not an overnight process. There will still be days when that voice gets loud again. On those days, don't punish yourself for listening, just notice it. Awareness itself weakens it, because when you see it clearly, you realize that it's just noise, and that behind that noise, there's stillness, there's strength, there's you. Be patient with yourself. Every time you choose kindness over criticism, you rewire your brain. Every time you speak gently to yourself, you plant a seed of self-trust. And those seeds will grow into unshakable confidence, into self-respect, into peace. The truth is, you can't control what others say about you, but you can always control what you say to yourself. The world outside may doubt you. Don't let your own voice join them. The world outside may challenge you. Let your own voice comfort you. The world outside may not always love you. Let your own voice remind you that you are still worthy of love, because your new life, the one filled with peace, purpose, and freedom, begins the day you stop letting that inner critic be your guide. When you stop letting fear narrate your story and start letting compassion write it instead, that's the day your mind becomes your home, not your battlefield. That's the day you stop surviving and start truly living.